This is Warren Sprouse, and you're on the Bible Forum. We're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Just for you, we look at life through a biblical lens. We're looking at the election that just transpired and what some of the people are saying about it. We've already went through what's been going on here on this side of the pond. But over in Israel, Breaking Israel News, that's the name of the organization that put out this report, says that several rabbis have concluded that President-elect Donald Trump's win last Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, over former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was, quote, the will of God. According to this report, as the rabbi who oversees the final resting place of King David on Mount Zion, Rabbi Yosef Berger is intimately connected to the spirituality of kingship. Apparently that's important. For him, it was clear what had happened that tipped the scales in favor of the Republican underdog. And he says all this in a very declarative statement. Quote, I have known for months that Donald Trump would win the elections, end of quote. How did he do that? Well, the gematria, apparently that's Hebrew for numerology, of his name works out to be Messiah. This is Bible code stuff. Trump is therefore connected to the messianic process which is happening right now. When he promised to move the American embassy to Jerusalem, he attached himself to the power of this Moshiach, which gave him the boost he needed. The rabbi said, if you separate from Jerusalem, disaster will follow. Jerusalem is the center of the world. And that's for the Jews, for observing Jews. They believe that. Biblically, it's true. Jerusalem is the only city on the planet that God has claimed as his own. It will survive. It will continue. It's not going away. The rabbi's right. Rabbi Berger pointed out the gematria for Donald Trump in Hebrew works out to the number 424. That number is equal to the gematria of the word Messiah. Messiah for the house of David as a phrase works out to 424. Donald Trump's name does the same. So there you are. He says in order to establish his kingdom, God had to create confusion, a situation in which the best plans laid by the most powerful people come to nothing. The Times of Israel.com reports that, quote, in a Trump campaign punctuated by hateful rhetoric and fear of Muslims, Latinos, and blacks, what some called out as dog whistle anti-Semitism were also sounded. Among them were allegedly old school anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about power and money that Trump apparently floated in comments, Twitter, and in the final ad campaign. I don't know what he's talking about. There was also the barrage of online harassment by self-identified Trump supporters of several Jewish journalists who wrote critically of Trump, including Holocaust-themed references depicting them in striped concentration camp uniforms. Quote, all of a sudden it seemed anti-Semitism was crawling out from under the rock, and we are still trying to come to grips with that, said Laurel Leff, a professor of journalism and Jewish studies at Northeastern University. Be critical of a Jew or Judaism or liberal Jewish theory, and that makes you an anti-Semite? What if you're just simply right? And that's what they're doing. You're just being critical of something they're actually doing. Is Trump, and by extension those who agree with him, fearful of Muslims, Latinos, and blacks? I don't think the man fears anybody. But when they're clearly breaking American law and declaring their aim as one to destroy this country through violent or economic means, why would you not speak out against them? I'm anti-thieves. I don't know about you. I'm anti-property destroyers. But I don't know that that makes me a racist or a homophobe. If a particular racial group is now currently running around the countryside damaging property for no reason other than fun or profit, and I stand up and say those people are crazy, am I attacking their racial background? No, their behavior. It's a crazy world. Israel has come out saying that they will not let Iran have military presence in Syria. President or Prime Minister Netanyahu told the Russian Prime Minister this in the recent meeting. What's that sound like to you? It kind of sounds a little bit like the nuclear option time. If you are going to step up against Iran, Iran has a nuclear capacity, or will sometime, they say, in the next 10 years. Most estimates are closer to 5. And you have an Israel that everybody knows has nuclear capacity right now and delivery systems. You can't get away from it. Saudi Arabia wants a nuclear capacity, and they want it for the same reason. Nobody trusts Iran, apparently, except Obama. Islamist extremists are tickled to death, apparently, with a Trump triumph. ISIS supporters view President-elect's anti-Muslim rhetoric as opportunity to, quote, enlarge the field of jihad, end of quote. They don't want the rhetoric to subside. They keep it going, and they do it for their own purposes. 75-year-old Bernie Sanders, a Jew, a liberal Jew, not an observing Jew, has come out backing the first Muslim congressman for the Democratic National Committee chair. It was vacated by the last two ladies because of their mouth. They said ugly things, did things that weren't right. The Vermont senator who became the closest Jewish politician ever to a big party presidential nomination isn't ruling out a 2020 run. Did I tell you he was 75 years old? An 80-year-old president. How's that grab you? The Muslim congressman, we talked about him when he got elected to Congress. He's a black Muslim. Early in the black Muslim movement, Muslims wanted nothing to do with them, because the form of Islam that the black Muslim was following was not true Islam. It was called black Muslim, a hybrid and a very violent form of it. But they've moderated. They've leveled out. They're wanting to be accepted as legitimate Muslims now that the Muslims have raised their picture, their cachet in the world. A majority of Muslims are not involved in the violent overthrow of non-Muslim governments. But the Quran can be seen advocating for just that. And therein lies this split and this problem. But when we talked about this young fellow, I think he's from Michigan, we talked about him because this is the guy who took his oath of office with everybody else and then went over to the Capitol steps to take it again. And this time he did it using a Quran. And Bernie Sanders wants him to be the head of the Democratic National Committee. Did I mention to you that it's official now? The United States is no longer a Christian nation. We got a bunch of different kinds of people. Not all of them are serving our interests.